Yo, you guys, we finally hit 1K subscribers. I've got a whole bunch of you guys to ask questions on Instagram and Snapchat. Anonymous ones were on Snapchat, and I could see exactly who was asking what questions on Instagram, and we're just gonna go through them. So the first question that I actually have is, what are some of your long-term goals? So long-term goals are hard for me to say, only because I don't really have this kind of like long-term outlook on life as such. I don't think, unless it's stock investing, then I do. However, in terms of long-term, the way I kind of view life, I don't really play games or anything, but the way I view it, it's kind of like, in a game when you kind of have the story mode, and then when you've completed story mode, it's like loads of little side missions that you do. It's kind of like I've almost completed story mode to the point where it's like I'm just throwing 100k into this investment and that investment, and now we're kind of moving on to, I guess, the side missions, like, oh, okay, cool, get a house, or etc, etc. And so for me to sort of set out like a long-term outlook, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of hard. But I guess there are a few things that I do actually have, one of which is that a lot of people kind of think, or I think that people think that I'm going to be a trader for life, or I want to trade for the rest of my life, whereby I actually more just want to buy businesses. So I see a lot of value in buying businesses and owning businesses, whether it be buying to sell in the future. So I kind of just, I don't know what business it's going to be. It's going to have to be something that I'm passionate about, but I can see myself kind of doing like a big venture capital raise to develop some type of software, whether it be like an online stock brokerage that has, I guess, some kind of advantages. But again, it would be a big team. I would need a lot of capital, a lot of venture capital to actually begin with. So it's kind of just hard for me to pinpoint exactly what that business would be. I feel like it's way too early on to decide. But as of now, I guess easy option for me is kind of just continuing on trading, starting the little e-com stores that I have now. I'm building up a retailer, which is going to be exciting, but even still, I don't think it's going to be as big as I would want it to be, or want a business to be for me to own kind of long term. And I guess apart from that, you've got the normal things like start a family, which won't happen for, I guess, years down the line, because it's just, I feel like I'm just way too young, and there's a lot that I kind of want to achieve before, I guess, starting a family, marriage, all that type of stuff. So again, that's like really, really long term. And there's not too much else that I can think of other than that, to be fair. Everything is just more short term. Like every year I sort of create my investing goals. You guys have probably heard on a few of my videos that one of my goals for this year was invest 6 figures by the end of summer. And we done it sort of right at the start of summer, so that's knocked out the park. And yeah, most of my goals are actually short term. So long term, I disappointed you guys on that one. There's not really too much that I can think of, to be fair. Okay, cool. Question two again was an anonymous one, and it's probably my favorite question out of them all. So this one was, how do you separate your mindset from the rest? How are you able to skip the motives, parties, etc. to learn trading while lacking FOMO? So I'm going to start off with the very last sort of questions, kind of like 2 in 1, with how can you sort of learn trading while lacking FOMO, fear of missing out, if you guys don't already know. And I feel like with FOMO is that it's very, very common. I myself have had people who have watched my Snapchat stories and jumped on trading only because they've simply just watched my Snapchat stories, which is perfectly fine. But then they may pick stocks that I pick simply because I picked them and for no other reason. And so they then lack conviction. And because people don't have their own conviction on certain stocks, certain trades, whenever they're placing a trade, and they're simply just copying others, they have something that, well, I have something that they will never be able to get. They will never be able to have my type of conviction. So when I hold a stock for, let's say, a year, and if I get a 200% gain and they hold for a week and then they're in a loss and then they sell premature, that's because they just don't simply have my conviction. That's something that nobody else can ever have. So in terms of lacking FOMO, this is most definitely what it is. And this isn't just conviction for stocks. I know I use the word conviction a lot for stocks. This is more for anything. So even building a business, I believe in my business. When investing in crypto, I believe in certain projects. I like to see technology consistently improving. And then obviously in stocks, a number of different things that I like to look at. And conviction is probably one of the biggest when it comes to FOMO. In terms of separating myself from the rest, it's kind of just, I don't know, like I feel like I just grew up quicker. So I did go through the like parties, motives, house parties and stuff, and it was cool while it lasted, but I got really bored of it. It wasn't really where I saw myself being in the future. I never really imagined to, I guess, have my own office at 19, or have, I guess, 2 offices at 19 or anything of that sort. but it just wasn't really, although I enjoyed it and I had fun, it just wasn't my type of environment in the long term. Like I'll probably still go back to a few motives here and there and still have fun. It's not as if that is most definitely disappeared, but it's just I kind of sort of sit back and observe sometimes, and it's kind of like, okay, cool, if there's somebody partying every day that's accomplishing nothing, and somebody that's kind of more reserved and doing more things that I would want to do, then I would kind of just sort of gear towards that type of person. But I feel like even still, you should sort of take time out and enjoy life. It shouldn't just be strict to the fact that, oh, okay, cool, I'm seeing Adam's Snapchat stories and he's in the office from 4 until the next day, I should do the exact same thing. No, you shouldn't, because that's not sustainable. You need the balance in life. So I feel like being able to separate myself from the rest is more something that can't really be taught. It's just natural. It's more just, it will come in time. And so have the balance. If you're somebody that likes to go out and socialize and sort of go to parties, events and drinks and all that kind of stuff, then do so. Otherwise, you're not going to have the right balance in life. Your life will then be imbalanced and it might not be healthy. It could affect you mentally and it could be really stressful, and it's just not the best way to live life, to be fair. It's not what you want to happen, in all honesty. And in terms of, I guess, skipping motives, parties, like I said, I feel like I've just grown up quicker than the rest. I had one of my friends, Abs, actually ask a question, and that is, what made you want to start YouTube? So if you don't already know, the main reason why I actually wanted to start YouTube in the end, so I'd actually thought of starting YouTube, I guess even at the start of my journey when I was making like the most money ever, or started to make a decent amount of money. However, I didn't start only because I just saw it as pointless. I saw starting YouTube as like, why would I start YouTube when I'm making money doing what I'm doing now? It just doesn't make sense, and I was studying as well at the time, etc. So YouTube just really didn't make sense to me. The reason as to why I'd actually started now though was because after being featured in the news, I still didn't start the first time, and then I guess there were a few other journalists that got in contact and I was featured again. But in being featured the first time, what had happened afterwards was a whole ton of hate, and people sort of not believing I'd done what I'd done, and that I sort of, have the money that I say I have, not believing that I have my own office, because I think the actual video was just me with a couple monitors in like one of the meeting rooms rather than me being in my actual office. And so because there was a lack of belief, it was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. If I document my journey from now onwards, then that will show the authenticity, only because I know that I set up my investment goals for the year, so I can actively show my investments. Likewise, I first had a video, I guess, related to the 20k investment into private equity. I've recently made now a 100k investment, and I guess a few other investments into a few different stocks, which I'll most definitely make videos about soon. And so my intentions were to just document my journey. What I didn't want to do was come out and be like, look, here's my portfolio, I've got hundreds of thousands of pounds, everyone like me, believe me, because I really don't care too much. It was sort of just what pushed me like over the edge, and was like, okay, cool, now I'll start YouTube, and kind of just put all of the haters to shame kind of thing. Which is probably a bad way to put it, but that was what kind of pushed me to actually start YouTube. And before, I guess, I did actually have intentions to educate on YouTube, which educational videos will be out soon. I think that was actually one of the questions. One of the other questions were, I'll actually open it up just so I'm on the right track. Okay, cool. Was, will you start teaching people to trade on YouTube? And that's yes. Yes, I will start teaching people how to trade on YouTube. Educational videos are coming soon. I'm actually going to do it differently from the rest. So what you'll find with a lot of people, or with some people anyways, is that it's mainly just technical analysis, which you can find on Baby Pips, etc. So I'm actually going to break down, I guess, capital market concepts, which I've studied and I found really, really helpful. So you can actually see case studies of where certain things have happened in the markets. And then I guess history may sometimes repeat itself, not always. So I have a bunch of videos coming out, as well as I guess stock related videos, how to calculate or how to perform certain calculations on, I guess, financial statements, what those calculations mean, and how you can use it to further build your conviction is what I'll do. Because you kind of have the people who are like finance experts, but then all they're like is buy index funds, which doesn't really teach you how to potentially build your own conviction, which then defeats the purpose of kind of stock picking. You're kind of just buying index funds, but yet they would claim to be, I don't know, stock investor or so on and so on. And that really just doesn't make sense, to be fair. Okay, so I can't remember what question we're on. I'm not going to do the counting stuff anymore. Next question is, you have a girlfriend, question mark, or GF, are you single? Or a whole bunch of the same questions also do with like relationships, girlfriends, etc, etc. No, I do not have a girlfriend. And I'm kind of like, so for me, like I said in my first video, it's the same thing. I'm kind of not really actively looking for any type of relationship. I'm kind of just on my own vibe right now. I'm more focused on my businesses, etc, etc. But that's not to say like, I would most definitely consider, if I met someone and I was vibing with them, the vibe was good and stuff, then I'd pursue them, like pursue a relationship, most definitely. But it's just the fact that I'm not really actively looking. It's just not really my area of interest heavily, to the point where it's like, oh, okay, cool. I would sort of look at things and be like, oh, I'd rather just work on my business than potentially make something of a relationship. So again, no, I'm not looking, but should I come across the right person, then I'd most definitely pursue the opportunity, to be fair. So the next question is, how do you have the confidence to stand up for your values as an entrepreneur and speak up when something is wrong? So I guess this is probably in relation to my Snapchat. Again, I have very strong opinions and I voice my opinions. So for example, if there is, I don't know, someone trying to sell a whole bunch of courses with no proven results, or I don't know, anything of that sort that I just believe is unethical. So for example, certain people's approach to conducting an MLM scheme, Forex is for everyone can do it, just join our company and you'll be fine. Wrong. So just, I guess, all of those types of things. I'm just more openly opinionated. I've voiced my opinions many times. A lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but I guess there's certain people who are in MLMs at the time just didn't like what I had to say, and they've actually ended up leaving MLMs now. I've seen a few of their pages and it doesn't look like they're still in the companies that they're in. So I guess it's only a matter of time before kind of all the kind of fake people are filtered out, and I guess it's just the real people kind of exposed. But I don't know how I've got the confidence. I guess it's more so in me sort of doing what I say I've done, and being able to, I guess, build good convictions in stock. So what I would say to be like decent convictions, and I guess to have like seen the results that I've seen and made the money that I've made, that then gives me confidence to kind of speak openly on other opinions. When I then see something that's unethical, I will then voice my opinion on it. If I see something that could, I guess, harm my potential, I don't know, my subscribers or the people on my Snapchat who I care about fully because they've just supported me throughout my entire journey, then I'll voice my opinion on it and make it known. I remember before, I think it was a few weeks ago, I'd asked on my story, who's been buying these ETF courses that cost like, or index fund courses that cost like £300, and there are loads of you guys replying, and I was just like, no way. It's kind of like, why would you buy into it? Likewise, I know there's people that do like annual subscriptions for signals and they charge like £300, and it's not what you want to be purchasing really early on. Like, I mean, get the knowledge first, and then if you feel like, okay, cool, me analyzing charts isn't going to work, I need signals, then try it out. It is still kind of a gamble, so I wouldn't really recommend it. But honestly, seeing people that have like very minimal experience and very basic knowledge, and then portraying that onto other people, and telling people that this is for you, just buy my course or join my academy, etc, etc, it's like, it's not what you want to be doing, to be fair. And so that's sort of, I guess, my kind of confidence. And I think even if I did have the results that I'd had, or even if I didn't have the results that I'd had, but I'd kind of had a whole bunch of experience, I still feel like I'd be the same with my sort of opinions. It's just the way I am, to be fair. I don't know, allowing people, I guess, even in terms of this whole Ponzi scheme that I'd actually made a video on previously, if I'd allowed for the Ponzi scheme to kind of, I don't know, for me to not voice my opinion on it, etc, etc, and to be beaten down, I wouldn't have been able to speak to the lawyer. I wouldn't have been able to get in contact with Tadizad. I'd actually got my money back, which is cool. If I was not too strong on my opinions and I was just like, oh, do you know what, it is what it is, it's life, this kind of thing happens, I wouldn't have my money back, and it would just be kind of like not good, to be fair. So how many people have you helped to make money? So I don't know how to answer this one. I've helped, so I cover losses from time to time, just freely. And what I've actually done is I've actually started to record a video whereby there was a cab driver who was driving, and essentially what happened was he'd had on his phone a whole bunch of Forex trades, and he'd actually told me that he joined somebody's subscription. I'm not going to name the person, and he's just been losing consistently, but obviously he'd seen the lifestyle, sort of fallen into the trap, and had wanted to take part. And so I'd sort of seen that and was like, okay, cool, you're clearly being scammed. And I've kind of just told him that I will teach you how to trade to an extent. Obviously, I can give him certain materials, etc., to learn if he doesn't wish to learn from myself directly. I'll cover any of his losses, mentor him along the way, and hopefully turn him into a consistent trader and a consistently profitable trader. Document it, send it to you guys, and just have that as like a kind of little episode, just so you guys can kind of see, I don't know, just somebody making money in the Forex market, to be fair, would be quite interesting. Somebody who was originally scammed and then had kind of like learned how to trade properly and come out on the other end as actually becoming profitable. And I see this quite a lot actually with people joining, I guess, certain MLM schemes. Some of them kind of go on to maybe trade, others of them go on to, I guess, maybe sell courses or subscriptions, which is quite common. And then that's how they make their money. Again, I think they kind of have a strong disbelief into the idea of Forex, but with the knowledge that they have, it's kind of then like, oh, I can kind of sell the information that I do actually know. And I think it's the wrong way to go about it, to be fair. Okay, next question is, which question will I go for? Okay, cool. I'm a college student, so finding a part-time job is difficult, and I only have 2p. What should I do to start making money and get big with it? Okay, so getting a good job is probably the first thing that I would do. If I was to tell you anything else, then I'd probably be trying to sell you a course or some sort of subscription. So get a job is most definitely the first. You could spend time trying to pick up a high income skill, but then I don't know. I would most definitely just get a job. In getting a job, what I would then do is try to look for, I guess, the exact same job. So after the first paycheck, I would essentially be looking for the same job whereby I can then get a higher pay, or potentially finding a job whereby my income will progress over time. So I don't just mean sort of rising up the ranks and then becoming a manager of like a retail store. Like, no, most definitely not. But in you gaining more knowledge and more qualifications and actually growing. So maybe, I guess, in finance, you can get more over time, or I guess even computer science, those types of things. The more knowledge you have, the more valuable you are as a person. You can actually then earn more. So I would say doing that. And alongside that, I mean, businesses are really great. If you had initial startup capital, I would say try to think of like a business that you're really passionate about to actually then begin to run. Or even if you already have knowledge in a certain business sector, a venture capital to raise a whole bunch of capital, put it all into a business, risk somebody else's money with something that you're really passionate about, and then try and grow from there. I would, I guess, invest consistently when you do have a job and have an income. I would also then try to pick up high income skills, such as maybe learning to code, learning to trade, anything of that sort. And then I guess you're more or less good to go. It's more than just a matter of time. If you have a high income skill which is gaining you a lot of money and you're growing at the same time, it's really just a matter of time before you then start to really pick up the pace. Making a lot of money, etc., is then just a matter of time. Anything else? I'm not too sure, to be fair. So it's getting a job, trying to find a job that pays more, a job where you could potentially grow, picking up high income skills, potentially starting businesses, and then investing alongside all of this to then just grow your wealth without you actually having to, I guess, actively then make money. And that's sort of how I would do it. Okay, cool. How do you manage your time on a daily basis? Do you schedule your time for the week ahead? And what do you do in preparation for this? So how do I manage my time on a daily basis? Honestly, I don't. So when I was working in finance, what I would kind of find is that I would do my finance work, come to my office. I'll do my finance work at home. I was just comfortable, chilled. Come to my office afterwards, and then just work. Go home, eat, sleep, and then kind of repeat. And there was kind of no structure. Well, there was a structure to my day, but in terms of sort of managing time, it was intense. There wasn't really much time to chill. Trading, I don't know if you guys know, but it is long, very long, quite tough to do. And so it was just not so much a struggle because I did enjoy it, kind of. It's a weird kind of flex, but I actually enjoy like kind of working. I don't think I'll ever retire. I feel like I'll always be doing something, but there was just like almost no like rest time. Unless I was eating, then I kind of chill. But even that, I mean, I'll still kind of have charts up, or I'll just be doing something. And I'm pretty sure even my mom was worried. Like even now, my mom's kind of like, oh, now that it's summer, are you actually gonna like take a break and relax? Like she's always kind of getting on to me, like just chill. I don't overwork yourself or like burn yourself out or anything of that sort. So I think from now we're actually in end of June, going on to July. So July is tomorrow. Throughout July, I'm just gonna be chilling, still creating YouTube content, trading, but just really taking a more chilled approach. So do I schedule my time for the week ahead? So I work weekends. So in terms of week ahead, I don't really look at it like that. I kind of just look at it like, okay, cool, this is what I'm going to do for the next 5 days. This is what I'm going to get done each day. And so I won't schedule the entire week, but I will schedule the days. So I'll have one project specifically and then break it down as day by day. Day 1, I want to do this. Day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and break it down like that, because I don't usually work weekends. Well, in fact, I do usually work weekends, mainly because the office is empty. And so I can kind of just run around the entire office doing whatever I want to do. To be fair, I don't run around the entire office, but I could. And so yeah, weekends, I like to work weekends. Monday, Tuesday, I tend to take off because I've just like worked really long hours on the weekend, and that's kind of me. To be fair, I work longer on weekends because there's less people. I feel more free, kind of. Can bring my friends in, as many as I wanted to be fair. So that's kind of cool. And that's, I guess, what I do in preparation. So I plan the days ahead. I'll have like one big task and break it down. And then I'll factor in like little things in between. So I guess if I want to trade, or if I'm going to analyze charts, if I'm going to run different valuations on companies for picking stocks, if I'm going to work with any of my clients or work in any stores, I'll factor that in between like a bigger project, and then just manage my time like that. So I don't manage the week specifically, but just the upcoming days. And that's more or less just how it runs. Okay, another question so moving over to Instagram again. Most of the questions have come from Snapchat, just because the Snapchat audience is strong. But one from Instagram, which was asked by Zara, a good friend of mine. Biggest obstacles / challenges that you had been faced at the beginning, or any recent ones? So any recent ones, yes. Working with, well, potentially, because I'm quite open to the idea of working with anyone and everyone. So I like to give everyone a chance. So I'd worked in teams whereby it's kind of like, at the start I sit back, I know how much value I can bring. So when working with people who have an idea that's not really sort of gotten started yet, at the beginning I sometimes, depending on the team and how much I believe in sort of the product or service, I may have like a little bit of a laid back approach just to kind of observe the work rate of who I'm working with, etc., etc. And it's not really gone too well, and that I've kind of just found to be a waste of time. Potentially working with people that just don't have the best of work rates is kind of like, what's the point? So I've wasted time in that. Again, working with friends, like close friends at that, you kind of like allow them to do certain things, and not to say that I've allowed my friends to do certain things, but a lot of you guys may already know, a lot of my Snapchat audience in particular will know that I was working with 2 friends on some projects, and I started to find sketchy things happening, like clients being charged for, I guess, mentorships that I didn't know about and weren't having good experiences. Friends of, I guess, my friends being told that they would have like losses covered if we were doing that, but then not, and essentially being lied to, which just isn't the best thing to happen, to be fair. And so again, these are obstacles, just trust. I think I mentioned it in my first video, but that was more, I guess, those obstacles I don't really have as much now. Recently, I don't think I've actually had many obstacles. I mean, right now I'm going to go and see a client. Well, in a few weeks I'm going to go see a client in Milan. Again, I'll vlog the entire journey, and it's kind of just like my experience building a business. There hasn't actually been an age barrier. I've got a really close-knit relationship with the client. It was a barrier at the start, age, obviously them sort of not really believing like, okay, cool, XYZ. Likewise, even when I first become a private equity investor, I'd had issues like being 19. It was kind of like, okay, cool, we're gonna need to see proof of income, proof of assets, etc., etc. And even when getting a credit card, so I got on a gold Amex and a platinum Amex and whatnot, put my income on the application. They didn't believe it, so age barriers and stuff, but that's all very minor. It's things that can be overcome. And likewise, I guess, even just in being featured in the news and stuff, people not believing you. But then I guess the transparency on the YouTube channel, on my Instagram, on Snapchat has been perfectly fine, and people have actually come out and apologized, etc., etc., which I'm really proud of, to be fair. So it's just those kinds of things which can all be overcome. So no like huge barriers as of yet, but I think as time goes on, projects get bigger, there will be like real big barriers that it's just like, damn, like I need to get out of it, to be fair. But mainly at the beginning, I guess just with like trust and teams, etc., etc. Nowadays there's not too many. It's quite okay. Okay, so another question which I think is important for me to answer is, why have you decided not to charge for services that you give to everyone? So one is because so this is what you'd find, is that someone would get basic knowledge on trading or investing, and I'd actually seen people essentially replicate information that they just watched from a YouTube video and then seem like some kind of expert. However, cool, you'd get some knowledge, come onto Snapchat or something, share the knowledge, open up a trading 212 demo account, show some profits, and then start to charge for a course. And it's kind of like, if I'm given such basic information, it's because I genuinely want people to just like grow and improve. And so I've got a video coming out soon which will kind of direct you guys to a few places whereby you can get free information that's really good and really credible. And so I just don't feel the need to charge. And in some cases with me covering losses, again, it's covering losses because I enjoy watching people grow, and I really want to be a part of the process. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not to say that I won't ever charge. I mean, I feel like I'll definitely have some kind of product or service that I'll charge for. But in doing so, in charging people, I feel like it will attain you a certain level of knowledge or attain you a specific like result. So whether that be you'll make X amount, or you'll be able to do X, Y, and Z, or you'll just be able to have all of this level of knowledge and you'll grow from there. So I will probably teach on YouTube, again, free of charge. Perfect. In terms of anything upcoming that I'll charge for, there's nothing in the mix. If I do, it will need to be regulated. So for example, FCA regulated courses is a must. There's no point kind of me having a course on financial advice and then being like, I'm not a financial advisor. Even though I'm not, it still just makes sense to have certain things regulated, to be fair. So yeah, I just don't charge genuinely just because I genuinely want to see people grow right now. Hence why starting the YouTube channel, as well as obviously for the whole haters and stuff. But I do obviously teach and share advice. The only affiliate links are ones where we can all get free stocks, so do pick up your free stocks in the